joining me on the show. Vishnu and Harishankar Jain, they're advocates for the petitioner. They join me on the show. Varis Pathan is AIMIM leader and spokesperson. Deepa Ishwar is a Hindu rights activist. Atikur Rahman is a Muslim scholar. Sriraj Nair represents the Vishwa Hindu Parishad on the broadcast. Varis Pathan, I want to begin by asking you. Mosques at Ayodhya, Mathura and Kashi. You heard Uma Bharti. They symbolize actions of invaders and tyrants. Babur was not an Indian. Babur was an invader who came from Uzbekistan. Aurangzeb was a tyrant and a bigot who demolished temples and built mosques. He imposed jizya on Hindus. He ordered temples be desecrated and destroyed. Sir, should Indian Muslims today defend the actions of invaders and tyrants and seek those mosques remain? Give me a moment as I try and reestablish that link with Varis Pathan in just a moment, but let me also bring into this conversation senior advocate Harishankar Jain. Asaduddin Owaisi says this order must be challenged in High Court as this order will lead to more trouble in society. He fears similar petitions will come up across the country, sir.
I admire Owaisi ji personally, but Owaisi ji, whatever says, actually totally against the Constitution. I do not think that anybody can be restrained from approaching the court. We have filed a case before the court.
Okay.
Why not Pandora box? It is the who tales of 800 years of Muslim atrocities. How Hindu can, for years to come, can continue this cross on their chest and say that you have rightly done, you have rightly demolished our temple. We are raising wire through court. It is not like CA that we have stopped the road.
Okay, you're saying you're rightly demanding your temples be restored. Varis Pathan, mosques at Ayodhya, Mathura and Kashi, you heard Uma Bharti. They symbolize actions of invaders and tyrants. Babur wasn't an Indian. He was an invader who came from outside. Aurangzeb was a bigot and a tyrant. He imposed jizya tax on Hindus. He ordered demolition of temples, desecration of temples. Sir, should Muslims in India today either defend those actions or seek mosques at places of worship of Hindus which are central to Hindu faith?
Well, Gaurav, the country will run on the basis of the constitution and the rule of law and not on the basis of Astha. So today, the court has given a verdict, and I feel that it is against the basic principles which were laid down in the Places of Worship Act 1991. Gaurav, we have to see the intent of the Places of Worship Act 1991. The intent was clear that henceforth there should not be any litigation. There should not be any destabilization in the country. So during the Babri Masjid case verdict in the civil suit, the honorable judges were of the opinion that this act will come into play, and those monuments prior to 15 August 1947, you cannot change the nature and character of that place. The intent was clear. This was also taken into consideration. The Gyanvapi issue was also taken into consideration while deciding the Places of Worship Act, because the same Uma Bharti, who was a member of parliament then, has raised the issue. So after consideration of everything, taking into consideration everything, the Places of Worship Act was there. And the act is still in existence. It is just being challenged. Pending that, today this court have given this order. It was a suit under Order 7, Rule 11. Now it's kept for further hearing on September 22nd, I suppose. So I am sure that the Intezamia Committee of this Anjuman, they will definitely file an appeal against the order, and I am hopeful that the Honorable High Court will look into the intricacies of the entire thing and give a stay on this. This has not barred the Muslims from going there and pray. True. They can go there, they can pray, they can do the wazu also there as per the direction of the Supreme Court, nor they have granted the permission to our 5 Hindu sisters who demanded that they be allowed to worship there every day. That is also pending. So let us hope, let us wait, let the courts decide, taking into consideration both the sides. But I am sure, and the 1936 judgment is also there.
Okay.
In the case of our state versus Dinant, and I am forgetting the name of that person.
Deen Mohammed, sir.
In that case also,
yes,
it is clearly said, Deen Mohammed versus the state, it is clearly stated that the masjid house and the backside of the zameen, the place and everything, it's a
And
Waqf
the land
property.
underneath.
So how can you obtain that
Okay.
place? The
Fair
question
enough.
is simple. The Babri Masjid case, the issues were settled. So why do you come forward again? You want to create an atmosphere of the 80s and 90s, that
But
era
that's
what we
the
saw.
Okay, Deepa Ishwar, is there an
hate and
effort to
violence that
create?
was spread. The same thing happened during the Babri Masjid issue.
Is there an effort to create the atmosphere once again? Muslims say they have offered namaz at Gyanvapi for hundreds of years. Why has this issue been raked up once Ayodhya was settled, Deepa?
No, I think see, this is a very sensitive issue and we should not be blaming, both either communities. I think, see, we need to be coexisting. If you look at it from that point of view, it's such a beautiful place because you've got a mosque and you've got, if you can coexist together, then nothing like it. Now, what happened here is that it's very clear out there that there is a shivling. Now, I'm not saying that you need to go digging out for shivling or any, symbols of Hindu existence under every mosque. But if you found one, then why not harmoniously accept it? What is the problem in accepting the sentiments of the Hindu community is what I don't understand. Be it the Sabrimala, be it Gyanvapi, be it Kashi Mathura, whatever temple, whenever there is an issue about a temple being raised, it's always raising hands out, pointing fingers at the Hindus saying that we are being intolerant. But who is actually being intolerant here? Basically, it's very clear, the court has observed, the court has clearly said why the Place of Worship Act does not, bar this particular petition. Then why is this whole hue and cry about? Let's wait for the court to come up with
Atikur Rahman, this is not barred by Places of Worship Act. This plea is maintainable. Hindus say it's one step forward in getting their right to pray.
Absolutely.
Why should Muslims object? It was, after all, according to the Hindus, a mosque made by demolishing an ancient Hindu temple, and that too a Swayambhu Jyotirling, one of the holiest Hindu sites, or the desecration and demolition was ordered by Aurangzeb. Why should that symbol of Aurangzeb's tyranny remain even today, sir?
Gaurav, the bigotry which was committed by Aurangzeb gets repeated in this age when we are guided by the Constitution of India. That's problematic. The Temple of Democracy which created the 1991 Places of Worship Act is being, sidelined with the bigotry temple, people erecting it in the name of religion. That's problematic. Why don't the government of India come clean and act upon a 2 years, pending this thing on the parliament to repeal or amend the 1991 Places of Worship Act?
So you are saying Aurangzeb ordering the demolition. No, I want to understand from you, sir. You are saying Atikur Rahman, a respected Islamic scholar, says Aurangzeb ordering the demolition of a temple is the same as Hindus approaching court with a prayer that please give us the right to worship. It is the same. It's equal bigotry. Is this what you're saying?
Yeah, because Aurangzeb was not guided by the Constitution at that particular moment. It was the king and the emperor which ruled. There was no book like a constitution. It's very disturbing that in the age of constitution, wherein we really treasure the parliament to be our temple, why are we going towards the bigoted elements?
मतलब कोर्ट जाना बिगटरी हो गया, सीएए के खिलाफ एजिटेशन करना बिगटरी नहीं है, उसमें कुछ नहीं है, उसमें कुछ देयर यू डोंट रिस्पेक्ट टेंपल ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी एंड देयर यू डोंट रिस्पेक्ट एक्ट ऑफ पार्लियामेंट. Respecting an act of parliament is also selective, but let me bring in Sriraj Nair. Sriraj Nair, will Hindus stop at Kashi or Mathura, or will this fight continue to regain control of other temples demolished by invaders and tyrants? Mr. Nair.
See, first of all, my salutations to the senior Jain Sahab and his son. Both of them have been rigorously fighting for the cause of liberating the Hindu temples. My salutations to both of them. I'm really happy that I'm sharing the studio the space with both of them. Second thing is we definitely believe this is the first step towards the liberation of our Gyanvapi temple. And we're also happy that, you know, the Places of Worship Act does not apply. Now, I was listening to my panelist, co-panelist Atikur Rahman. Now, nowhere in this world, we have to understand, first of all, we have to understand the Hindu civilization is the indigenous civilization of this land. How did Islam came to this land? We all know. And we all know who the ancestors are of Mr. Atikur Rahman and Mr. Varis Pathan. They are not Arab migrants. First of all, they have to accept the reality and they have to treat the ailment of Stockholm syndrome, which they are ailing from. I repeatedly, Stockholm syndrome, they are ailing from that deadly disease. So they have to get rid of that. How long they will live in denial mode? They cannot buy a single inch in the Arab land. They cannot marry a local Arab girl. They cannot get citizenship. So none, and they are just, you know, it's a daddy issue. Why are they looking towards the Arab world? Their ancestors were
Varis Pathan wants to respond to you. Atikur Rahman wants to respond to you.
The majority have to plead for their place of worship. Nowhere in this world they have to plead for the place of worship. We are rather, you know, and the Hindus are decent enough that they have approached the courts. And let us respect the courts. They cannot, these people are selectively abiding by the constitution.
Okay.
Selectively they want to respect the judiciary. That cannot happen.
Okay, respond, Varis Pathan.
So we are very happy and we are satisfied with the decision.
Okay, Varis Pathan, you know, Hindus are pleading with courts to have access to their religious places. Why should that be seen as bigotry, sir?
First and foremost, just now Siraj Nair was also saying that we respect the constitution. I say he's lying. The Supreme Court has said in the Places of Worship Act 1991 and during the Babri Masjid verdict, they have said it has become a basic structure of our constitution. So where do they take care of the constitution? This is what I say. Now when will this stop? If we don't follow these Places of Worship Act, if we don't follow the Supreme Court's rule, every day new petitions will be filed in different courts of law and people will seek that, okay, I want to worship in this place, allow me to worship. Then when will this end? Is this not destabilizing the great country? Is this not spreading hatred amongst people in the country? When everything stopped, Babri Masjid issue happened, Gaurav, a very clear thing and a true fact. Had the Babri Masjid been there on the very day when the judgment of the Supreme Court came, it would not have been demolished. The result would have been different today. But because they demolished our Babri Masjid and the Honorable Court had to pass this order,
Sir,
then also they said that no.
The fact also remains,
any structure you cannot change the nature and character.
Well,
You are talking about faith.
You know,
You are
Hindus
talking about
say,
Asta. I am talking about constitution which is given to us by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. And we follow the constitution, rule of law must prevail. Otherwise it will be anarchy, banana republic. Where do we live then?
No,
then
but
what was
Varis
the intent?
Pathan,
What was the need of such kind of act?
but Varis Pathan, explain this to me. Varis Pathan, explain this to me. You want to respect, sir, you want to respect the Places of Worship Act 1991, but you do not want to respect the Citizenship Amendment Act. Both came from the same parliament. So your respecting also cannot be selective. Point one, your worship, your respecting.
I am not being selective.
You are being very selective, sir. When it's convenient to you, you will respect Supreme Court order or an act of Parliament. When it is not,
yes, according to the convenience, if it comes their way, they'll respect.
In Sabarimala's case, did they see the Babri Masjid order came? We respected. Triple Talaq order came. We respected. During the Babri Masjid, we say our faith says, एक बार जहाँ मस्जिद थी है तो कयामत तक रहेगी. This is our faith. I am not going against the Constitution or the Honorable Supreme Court. That also we said the Supreme Court is supreme, but not infallible. Which Justice Verma of the Honorable Supreme Court himself said. Varis Pathan is not saying that. I am just quoting him. So where do we leave it?
So I want to move forward from that point. I want to move forward from that point.
Where will the country go?
No, where will the country go? The point that Uma Bharti raises, and I want to ask both you and Atikur Rahman, why should only Hindus make all the sacrifices in this country? This is a Hindu majority country, and yet for secularism only Hindus will make sacrifice. That's the point Uma Bharti made. Atikur Rahman.
This is your wrong. You are wrong.
Okay. So first Varis Pathan wants to respond, and then Atikur Rahman.
I don't agree with your point, Gaurav.
Go on, sir. Okay, Varis Pathan first, then Atikur Rahman. Go on, sir.
I don't agree with your point that this is a majority and minority. fundamental right, equality is mentioned there in the constitution given to us by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. I am as equal as Gaurav Samant, or I am as equal as the other panelists who are sitting here on your channel. Now, one more thing I wanted to clarify. The activist madam who was sitting on your panel says, treat it as a shivling. Madam, that matter issue is pending before the Supreme Court. Whether it is a shivling or it is a fountain as claimed by the Muslim side, that issue has to be resolved by the Honorable Supreme Court. It is pending. The Supreme Court has protected that area of the shivling, but it allowed the Muslims to go there, offer prayers, and they've also allowed the Muslims to go there and do wuzu. And
in a separate location,
that
sir.
you have already declared that it is a masjid, as people are
wuzu in a separate location. Cannot do wuzu where Hindus say, sir, for facts, so that you are on facts, wuzu will not be done where our shivling is. Let's be very clear about that. Let's be very clear about that, sir.
That place is protected.
Yes, that place remains protected. But that is where wuzu was happening for so many years.
From offering namaz there,
yes, you are absolutely right. I want to bring in.
Clear as today they are claiming offering sweets and everything that now they have been allowed to worship there every day. This is wrong.
I want to bring in Vishnu Shankar Jain.
By a few people. I don't blame you. There are certain people who are offering sweets and they are showing it on the social media itself also.
I want to bring in Vishnu Shankar Jain. Respond on merit.
Are you with me?
I'm with you.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're loud and clear.
Am I
Strength
audible?
5. Strength 5, always audible. Always audible. Okay. Vishnu Shankar Jain, respond on merit when Asaduddin Owaisi argues that plot number 93 and plot number 94, they were exchanged as part of beautification of Kashi Vishwanath Temple complex. The exchange was with the Muslim party. The exchange, according to Asaduddin Owaisi, is always with the owner. And that, according to Asaduddin Owaisi, is proof that government took them as owners of the land when they exchanged plot number 93 and 94, sir.
See, we have categorically said that if any exchange which has been done, that is not binding on us. And that is not binding on the deity and the worshippers. If state government has done any exchange, that is the need of the hour. At that point of time, state government has done the exchange. But by exchanging the property, it does not mean the state government or the devotees has accepted the title of the Waqf board. Point number 1. This point also we have argued before the Honorable Court that the said exchange is in violation of the Waqf Act also. So all these are the broader aspects which has to be seen. But the point in issue is this, that this plot number 9130 is not a Waqf property, and there has been no document which has been filed by the masjid side to show that it has been a Waqf property. And apart from that, the provisions of Waqf Act are not attracted. There is a categorical finding of the Honorable Court in this regard in today's judgment. So we were continuously saying that if a dispute arises between members of Muslim community and Hindu community, the provisions of Waqf Act are not attractive.
Okay. So courts are looking at what's happening in Kashi, courts are looking at what's happening in Mathura, but Atikur Rahman, can an amicable solution still be found? You heard that conversation with senior BJP leader Uma Bharti, who says this, if there is an amicable solution, then you can look at, what's happening at Mathura, at Kashi, at Ayodhya. This Ganga Jamni Tehzeeb cannot be a one-way street. Muslims cannot expect only Hindus to make all the sacrifices. If Muslims are contesting Mathura and Kashi, then be prepared, as Mr. Vishnu Shankar Jain and Hari Shankar Jain argue, more than 3,000 temples that were illegally demolished. Hindus will fight to reclaim all, sir.
Gaurav, nothing is impossible and more acceptable than a congenial atmosphere built between two major communities in India. But who is responsible to create this divide? The divide is every day on our channels. The BJP spokesperson, when they call the Muslim jihadis, when the madrasas are pulled down without any relevant proof, saying that they are, having terrorism taught in them.
Sir, we had a debate on that, but today can we stay on the subject?
Scapegoat out of all other things.
Today can we stay on this subject? I will. You and I have discussed
so
the pulling down of madrasas in Assam in the past. You and I have discussed that. But let's stay on this subject, sir.
So who will build the congenial atmosphere? Who will build the bridges? There are no efforts either by the government of India or any of the organizations who can, day in and day out, they have only blame, they have only poison for the minority community. Is this the way you expect that the minority and the majority communities will come on one platform? That's not possible, Gaurav.
Okay.
We need to end
Sri
the
Raj
hate.
Nair, how, in your view, what's the way to end the hate?
See, as I also said, and even Umaji rightly said, Hindus are not guinea pigs. All Ganga Jamni Tehzeeb, what happened to the Ganga Jamni Tehzeeb in 1947? Every time Hindus cannot be at the receiving end. We have to understand Hindus survived the onslaught of nearly 1,000 years,
So
and that's a brutal, barbaric onslaught.
You need to throw off the baggage
when
of
your
history
ancestors
first.
converted, we survived. Understand? So now you cannot selectively abide by the constitution. You cannot be. You selectively abide by the judiciary. You cannot selectively abide by the IPC, CRPC. Today, a good news has come. We welcome this news, and now the case will be fought on merits. So let us wait. See, let us wait for now. The case will be fought on merits. Please do understand. And we are not guinea pigs. We survived, and we are here to stay.
Okay,
please
one by
understand.
one.
And if there has to be peace, you have to understand who were your ancestors were. You cannot make your, you cannot feel that your ancestors were somewhere from Ottoman Empire or the Arabs. Who were your ancestors? Please understand. The day you realize who were your ancestors, most of the problem in this country will be solved.
Okay.
There is no majority, no minority. Either they are Hindus staying or whose ancestors were Hindus, they are staying. That's it. So you have to realize and understand.
No, but you know, instead of, yeah, exactly. How do you move forward?
Throw off your baggage of history, Mr. Nair. Throw off your baggage of history.
But how do you move forward?
So
you know,
we have always
a strong foundation. You need a strong foundation.
Why are
Okay,
you
Deepa
jumping
Ishwar
the
also
gun?
wants to come in. Okay,
Atikur Rahman
before I bring in Varis Pathan,
the
Deepa
court has
Ishwar,
said that
Deepa Ishwar wants to come in. Come in, ma'am. Okay.
So Atikur Rahman ji was asking who should build the bridge. Definitely, of course, the government and other authorities should. But then at the same time, Atikur Rahman ji sitting on the other side of this debate, debating this with me, is definitely not any baby step towards building a harmonious bridge. It should be, we should together be accepting. I mean, both of us debating this on two sides itself is not, are we taking any effort towards it? Are you taking any effort towards building a bridge? I think that's a question to ourselves. Why are we always waiting for someone to come and build the bridge for us? It's as if like we're all here and someone should come and do it. I agree. There are responsibilities should be fulfilled. But are we doing this? Are we setting the right example for the next generation? Shouldn't I be able to tell my son that, see, we found history there and we're all coexisting together and accepting what's about to happen? Am I able to say that? No. I'm ashamed to tell my son about what's happening. There is a community who's arguing and debating with history being unfolded.
Okay. And why do some, Varis Pathan, you know, Varis Pathan, why would some, as Uma Bharti asked and as several Hindus asked, Ayodhya, very central to Hindu faith. Sri Ram was born there. Mathura, Yogeshwar Sri Krishna was born there. Kashi, this is where the Jyotirling, the Swayambhu Jyotirling came. So centers of Hindu faith, it is not central to Islamic faith. Why are Muslims contesting Ayodhya, Mathura and Kashi, which is so central to Hindu faith?
Well, that is why, well, Gaurav, that's why I started my argument by saying that I made my point by saying that the country will run on the constitution, follow the rule of law and not on the basis of Astha. They are talking about Astha. What about my Astha then? What about my faith?
What is your Astha in Ayodhya, Mathura and Kashi?
I am an equal
tyrant demolished temples and built mosques. Your Astha is on demolished temples.
We have been praying there since years. Muslims have been offering prayers. Muslims have been offering prayers there since years. They have been doing, performing wuzu there in the house since years. Why all of a sudden they come there? Why all of a sudden an order is passed by the magistrate?
So Muslims performing wuzu where Hindus say a
why was that order made? Why was the order for survey was allowed when the Places of Worship Act is in existence? Why this thing, when the Places of Worship Act is in existence, what was the need for these people to approach the court and seek an order for the survey? Why? What was the requirement when already our 5 Hindu sisters had moved an appeal before the Honorable Supreme Court asking them they be permitted to worship there? What was the need today going before the court and taking the same?
Let me bring in Mr. Harishankar Jain.
The time of the courts, and tomorrow again, everybody will go before the courts and they will ask for such kind of prayers. Where will this stop this? Where will
Why
this stop?
not?
That's why the places of
Why should it be stopped?
that this
That's
kind
my
of thing should
question.
stop.
Why are you
And
trying
but they
to
don't
stop
want to.
it? Why are you trying to
Ask the
stop
courts.
it?
Gaurav,
Go
please
before
give me
the
30
Supreme Court and
seconds.
say
Please
this.
give
Why
me 30
should we
seconds.
stop? What are you trying to make a point? Go before the Supreme Court and make this point. You will get the answer, madam. Why should this not be stopped? And why should this be stopped? That with the intention of
why
the
are you
places of worship. I am a
fearing?
lawyer. I am
What?
not a layman, and I am
No,
making a
sir,
point as per law.
Sir, I'm asking you, what are you afraid of? Why are you afraid of history being revealed? Why are you afraid of
I am
Hindus
not
going
afraid of any.
to another
What
temple?
are you afraid of?
We're asking for our rights as much as you are entitled
Why
to
should
yours.
I be afraid of? Why should I? No, I am not afraid of anything. I am only afraid of one thing, that the constitution given to me by Baba Saheb Ambedkar, they all must follow me. They are not following. That is what I am afraid of. That is what I am afraid of. I am talking about constitution, madam. You are not talking about constitution. You are just speaking as a layman. Allow us. No. The courts are supreme. Let me make a clear-cut point, madam. The order today passed by the court in Varanasi, I am hopeful that definitely the High Court will stay that. The High Court will definitely, because the matter is
Bring in Mr. Harishankar Jain, because if there is confrontation, if there is confrontation, no, if there is confrontation, then why should it remain restricted only to Mathura and Kashi, and why not over 3,000 temples that Vishnu Shankar Jain and Hari Shankar Jain and other Hindus talk about? Mr. Jain, is this then the return to politics of 1980s and 90s, and will this then lead to a spike in Hindu-Muslim tension in different parts of the country, with temple politics once again taking center stage, sir?
Yes, that should be defeated. That should be defeated.
It should be
We have
repeated.
challenged the constitutional validity of the act. Number one. Number two, when for 800 years, 500 years, or 400 years, illegally you entered in my house, you demolished my temple. Why we should not talk in free India, in an India governed by the constitution, that restore back, through legal means, not by showing hoodlums, not by otherwise by showing unlawful activity, not like CA Andolan. We are saying through court that is our property, we were worshipping, it is God's property, and we should get it back. What is wrong with it? And 1890 era will come. Why is threatening? Why threatening? One, he must know that you cannot threaten now. Hindu public has awakened. It may, yes, there will be flood of litigation, and we will succeed in more than 3,000 temples. We have to get it back. We have to get it back. And you can't shut our mouth. If you shut your mouth, there will be, Parliament will be compelled to change the law. Parliament will compelled to change the law. Democracy means what the people...
So you're saying you'll use democracy, you'll use the power of the people to change laws. Atikur Rahman, if that happens, Places of Worship Act 1991, Uma Bharti was telling me that law, it is bad in law, it is anti-Hindu. It is anti-Hindu. Why should an anti-Hindu law remain in our statute books even today? The point Hindus make is, tyrants demolished our temple. If the Mughals did it, they did not give Hindus justice. Aurangzeb was a tyrant. The British did not give Hindus justice. Why should Hindus not get justice in free independent India and reclaim their places of worship? Atikur Rahman.
That is precisely my question, Gaurav. When Uma Bharti claimed the same thing on the floor of the parliament, where were these, honorable people like Mr. Jains and the other Sriraj Nair? Where were they? Why didn't they at that particular moment supported her? Why didn't they compel the parliament to pass, not allow passing this act? Why slow poison India in this ugly, obnoxious fashion? This is bigotry, nothing else.
You call it bigotry. Sriraj Nair wants to respond to you. What you're indulging in right now, Sriraj Nair, according to Atikur Rahman, is bigotry.
So that is the reason they don't want to accept the truth. Now today a decision by the court has come. Rather than welcoming and respecting the judiciary, if the judgment does, if the decision does not come their way, they will attack the judiciary also. And this is the way they respect the constitution. Now let me talk about Kashi. I belong to the state of Kerala. Before the Industrial Revolution, before there were no motor cars or mode of transport, people from Kerala used to walk to Kashi. That is the importance of Kashi for every Hindu, irrespective of where a Hindu stays as far as the geographical location is concerned. So now for Atikur Rahman, Makkah and Medina could be revered, but what has it got to do with the Gyanvapi temple? So, Hindu, they don't want to accept the reality, they don't want to accept what judiciary says, and the Places of Worship Act has already been challenged in the Supreme Court. Let us understand that. Anything that can be, and the soon hearings are going to be happening. So Places of Worship Act has been challenged.
Okay. I want to bring in Vishnu Shankar Jain on a very important point that he raised. Okay, quickly Atikur Rahman, kindly make your point, sir.
Mr. Jain, why didn't you came in support of Uma Bharti at that time? Why these people were silent at that time? The Ayodhya matter could have clubbed with all these matters.
But that is exactly what Uma Bharti wanted. But her amendment could not come that time.
We are not guinea pigs, sir.
No, but how are you being made a guinea pig? But let me bring in, Mr. Vishnu Shankar Jain wants to make a point. And Mr. Jain, Vishnu Shankar Jain, does today's order pave the way for similar petitions coming up for other religious places? It may be a mosque today, but if it was a temple before 1947, for example, Bhodshala is one such instance, and I believe there are 6 or 7 such instances where you are either petitioner in that case or you're working on this case. Sir, the point is, does that not defeat the purpose of the Places of Worship Act?
See, today's judgment has paved the way for the misnomer which has been spread in the society of Places of Worship Act 1991 as well as Waqf Act 1995. So far as restoration of temple is concerned, if our legal teams finds any proof that yes, there was a temple pre-existing which has been demolished and converted into a mosque before 15th August 1947 and after 15th August 1947, cases will be filed in the courts of law for such restoration and for taking back those places.
On this part of the show, I will let that be the last word for joining me here on this India Today special broadcast. Many thanks. We will track the story very, very closely. This now comes up on the 22nd of September in the Kashi court, and we'll be present in court to get you more on the story.